Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. On behalf of His Excellency, Mr. Wajid Shamsul Hasan, the High Commissioner of Pakistan and his staff, I formally welcome you on the occasion of Pakistan's Defence Day. Gentlemen, the Indo-Pakistani War of 1965 was the culmination of small battles, tactical level battles, which took place between April 65 and September 1965 between the two countries. The 6th of September 1965 is the day when the Indian forces crossed into Pakistan's international border, and Pakistan Armed Forces put up a valiant defense of the motherland and drove them back, thus taking its name as the Defense of Pakistan Day. This conflict, also known as the Second Kashmir War, fought by India and Pakistan over the disputed region of Kashmir, first having fought in 1948. The 5-week war caused thousands of casualties on both sides and thereafter ended in UN-mandated ceasefire. However, as any other day in any country, over a period of time, this day is now also observed not only to acknowledge the gallantry of our men in September War, but also during other aggressive wars the country has had to face in a short history. Today, Pakistan is confronted with the threat of non-state actors and terrorism. Although these non-state actors are found everywhere in the world, but due to a number of reasons, South Asia is the worst victim of this. The so-called terrorists don't accept any constitution, any right and responsibility, right of the state, and above all, rights and legitimacy of international law. Pakistan, being a responsible country, despite having meager resources, joined this global war, fought hand in hand with international forces, and played a significant role to fight this threat in order to bringing it to a logical end. This has resulted in paying a tremendous price by Pakistan, especially in terms of human loss, in terms of military and civilian deaths, the main assets of Pakistan. This war has gravely affected across the complete spectrum of our society, and today, 6 September, also symbolizes our resolve to fight and protect our homeland against this threat. We all are reminded that how people gave and are giving sacrifices to defend the homeland, and what is the responsibility of a younger generation, especially the children, who are the future of Pakistan. It will be apt to remind that Pakistan is committed not only to defend its own country, but across the globe. We have the biggest UN peacekeeping contingent anywhere in the world. Now I would request His Excellency Mr. Wajid Shamsul Hasan to address, followed by Colonel Zulfikar, the Army and Air Attaché, who will give us a brief insight on Pakistan's efforts and contribution on ongoing war on terror. Sir.
Thank you. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum. It is indeed a pleasure for me to welcome you at Pakistan High Commission on the auspicious day of Pakistan's Defence Day. As my colleague Defence Advisor stated in his speech, that on this day, in 1965, Pakistan Armed Forces, along with the support of the people of Pakistan, stood aloft against an adversary 6 times bigger than our size and managed to roll them back, force them back, and protect our country from their aggression. To me, since I was quite active in 1965, it was indeed a finest hour, because that was the best that came out that day and that period of 13-14 days, nation's best. Everybody was on the same page, Pakistan Armed Forces, people of Pakistan, leadership, everybody fought as one to protect the motherland.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Right, you'll have to bear with me for about 10 to 15 minutes more before you actually start enjoying this reception. Right, in the next 10 to 15 minutes, because we're talking about defense today, the biggest challenge facing us today is the menace of terrorism. So I'm just going to highlight some of the aspects of Pakistan military's contribution towards the war on terror. And to start that, I'll start it with a small clip and then go on to do the presentation, and hope you enjoy that. Right, this is just a small clip, obviously depicting the situation that's there in Pakistan regarding the war on terror. And before I actually move forward on the presentation, just to give you an idea of the geography, so if you look at the slide, you can see the Pakistan-Afghanistan border and the way it's configured, the length of the border, which is over 2,600 kilometers. And this is actually just the height depiction of the peaks, and you can see how high they're actually over 7,000 meters. So you can actually see the difficulty of the terrain in which the Pakistani army, and I'm sure the other side on the border as well, the armies are operating. Just a depiction of the geography of the area. Here you can see the total number of posts. So you can see that the Pakistan Army, just the border posts, the Pakistan Army has a total of 642 posts on the border, whereas the total NATO posts on the other side are about 200. I will request you to take a note of this slide. We'll come back to this. This is where the Pakistan Army was back in 2007. And you can see the green area has the writ of the government. The yellow is obviously the disputed kind of a territory, and the red area is the one which is controlled by the Taliban or the terrorists. And you can see they are pretty much evenly distributed. So we'll come back to this slide of where we stand today. This is the purpose of the campaign. There's just a vision which has been given by the Chief of the Army Staff, General Kayani, of where he sees and how he sees this battle being fought. And the last point, especially the coordinate operations as far as possible with the ISAF forces for maximum effects. That's fundamental, that's key. Just the numbers, because I think this is really important to note where we stand today. So we have a total of 158,000 Pakistani troops on the western border. That's nearly a third of our army. And as the ambassador just mentioned, the High Commissioner, we also have got about 10,000 people in the UN. We have the largest contingent. So just see the kind of pressure that the army is in. And this is what we call the silent surge, because this has increased over the years as we've moved along. These are the number of operations that have been conducted. So they are nearly touching 1,000. These include obviously the major operations and the minor operations. And this actually depicts the tempo of the operations that is being maintained in those on the western border. And this is just to give the stretch on the armed forces. As I said, we have nearly 160,000 deployed. This is what it should be actually. And if you see at the bottom how many are deployed, including western border, Kashmir, UN, you would see that you only have about 60,000 people in rest and retrofit. That's a big stretch. People in the military will understand what that actually means. And the soldiers' 18 years of life, you would see that any soldier who joined the Pakistan Army probably about 2 decades ago, about 15 years ago, in 18 years of a normal soldier's life, half of that approximately is being spent in hard areas or operational areas. That is asking a lot from a soldier. This is the impact on the national economy. We've suffered about a loss of $70 billion. Our defense budget is $4 billion annually. So you can imagine the loss that we've suffered. We've had nearly 4,000 military casualties and over 12,000 injured. And we've also killed or captured over 26,000 terrorists. This is a very important figure, and I think we really need to take note of this. The ISI, the Inter-Services Intelligence, comes under a lot of flack from some quarters. We all know that. I just wanted to show you these pictures of the attacks that have been carried out against Pakistan's ISI. This was in Lahore, ISI headquarters. This was in Peshawar, again ISI headquarters. This is in Multan. So you can well imagine the ISI is their main target. So when somebody says that ISI is a veritable arm of the Taliban, I would seriously question that. This is the attacks on the infrastructure, mostly the schools. Right, this is the slide that I showed you before of where we were. And this is where we are today. So this is the kind of success. The green area now shows the rate of the army and the government of Pakistan. These are the areas under our control now. So in the last 6 years, this is the distance that we've traveled. This is how far we've come. And there's very small area, parts of Khyber and some part of North Waziristan, which is still not held with us. And this is our future direction, and we are pursuing it very seriously. I said border coordination with the ISAF forces, that is one of our fundamental factors when we do our military planning. But obviously there are major issues which remain, which is regarding the cross-border attacks, fire violations, and move on formal and informal routes. I'm actually coming from commanding my unit in Dir, so I have first-hand knowledge of what was happening in Dir and how many attacks we were suffering from the Afghan side. So whereas Pakistan might get blamed frequently for the Taliban moving on to the other side, actually I think from the other side the traffic is very high as well. And we've suffered a lot because of these attacks, especially in Momand, Bajor and Dir, where I was. This slide just gives you the numbers, the figures of how many attacks we've had from across the border, from the Afghan side to the Pakistani side. And these are mostly perpetrated by the TTS, which is the Tehreek-e-Taliban Swat chapter, who is taking refuge in Kunnar and Nuristan provinces of Afghanistan. We've always believed, and the Chief of Army Staff is given a two-pronged strategy. So development and de-radicalization go hand in hand. This is what the army has done. Roads, education, projects, health sectors, bridges, electricity, water supply. So this is obviously, as we say, the build phase of the operations. So this is what we are doing. So we are holding the area, and we are also trying our best to build so that we can then transfer. These are just a few glimpses of how the roads were and what they look now. These are being constructed by the Frontier Works Organization of the Pakistan Army. So this is what the road now looks like. I showed you a previous clip. This is what it was before. This is in South Waziristan. This is what it looks like now. This is again South Waziristan. This is what it looks like today. De-radicalization, the vision of the Chief of the Army Staff, it's again one of the major factors, central figures of the de-radicalization program followed by the Pakistan Army and the government. Sabaun, this is basically a project for juveniles who we feel have been brainwashed. So we bring those kids into our institutions, de-radicalize them, detoxicate them, so as to say, and make them useful members of the society. So this is what they were before, and then the bottom picture shows you what they look now. The war-wounded soldiers are very dear to a soldier's heart. So you can see 356 all ranks have been rehabilitated about 400 by upper and lower limb prosthesis. This is in our AFIRM, which is our Rehabilitative Medicine Institute. And this is how we, make them a part of our society to make sure they don't get alienated. And the last point I would say is a fundamental point. Not even a single participant or a single person out of this is on antidepressants, whereas you would hear a lot of suicides going on in some of the armies, a lot of people suffering on PTSDs, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. In the Pakistan Army, alhamdulillah, we don't have anybody on even medicine, which is antidepressant medicine. This shows the faith of the Pakistan Army. Just few points to ponder. Thank you very much. Thank you for bearing with me. And then you can actually start enjoying.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are really happy today to note that we have a veteran general amidst us, General Mohammad Abdul Qayyum. He was a very important man in the previous administration, and now he has come down to civilian life, but he was here, so I thought I'll request him to say a few words. General Qayyum, please.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. It is indeed a great honor and a privilege to be here today, and I am grateful to the High Commissioner to have invited me to attend this ceremony. Since I have been a soldier, I understand what our young colonel was showing, and since I also write and speak on the Pak-Afghan war and what is happening on our western borders, I really fully understand the situation. And he was referring to the suicides. The NATO forces in 2012, their soldiers who were killed in operation, their strength was 295. And those who committed suicide in that 1 year, 2012, the figure was 349, more than the combat casualties. So that is the morale, that is the resilience of our army, fully backed by the nation. And today, when we celebrate our Defense Day, we also keep that in mind, that Pakistan's defense potential is exclusively for our defense. We want to promote peace in the world. We want to follow the Charter of the United Nations. That is why we are also contributing 10,000 soldiers to the peacekeeping at the international level. And whatever is our capability in terms of missiles or nuclear capability, it is exclusively for our defense. And Pakistan, you may recall, had many times declared that we would like to declare South Asia as a free nuclear zone. And we would also like that the nuclear arsenal should be taken out from the entire world. And we should all live in peace. We want to work in peace with our neighbors like India, Afghanistan, and in that region, because we feel that 1/4 of the humanity lives in South Asia. And more than 60% are below poverty line. So our biggest enemy, the other day I said, is poverty, and we would like to fight that. We would like to work for the prosperity of our people, and we would not like to spend our money on defense. But unfortunately, you know that after this 9/11, the biggest victim of this war on terrorism was Pakistan. You see our economy, you see our infrastructure, you see our casualties we have suffered, military, civilian, but alhamdulillah, at the end of 12 years, while the superpowers and the NATO countries are thinking of withdrawing from there, we know we have to survive in that area because we can't change our geography, and we are still determined to fight militancy. And the policy of the present government is against terrorism. Number one, that we have zero tolerance. Number two, we have no aggressive designs against anybody. Number three, we would like to resolve our internal issues politically, because they are political issues, not militarily. because use of military instrument does not at all solve any problem. There are examples in front of you. See Vietnam, Korea, you have Iraq war, even Afghanistan war. These are futile. The foreign policy objectives must be attained by diplomacy and superior statesmanship and superior politics, and not by the use of instrument. That is what we recommend for the Middle East. The policy of the government of Pakistan is, whether it is Syria or Libya or any other country, we should give peace a chance, and we should request the United Nations to interrogate these issues impartially and fix the responsibility, and then whatever is the international law according to that. But no force, no power should have that guarantee, that veto, that they should launch their offensive in any country they want. So that is our policy there. Once again, I would like to congratulate Wajid Saab, an old colleague. For the last 20 years we have been working together. And today the function, the way it was arranged, I think it was most impressive, and you deserve, sir, our commendation and the commendation for the entire team. I know that. And in the end, I will conclude this by a few ये जो शेर हैं अहमद नदीम कासमी के, एक दुआ है कि खुदा करे कि मेरे एक भी हम वतन के लिए हयात जुर्म न हो, जिंदगी वबाल न हो, और खुदा करे कि मेरी अर्ज़े पाक पे उतरे वो फसले गुल जिसे अंदेशा ज़वाल न हो। वाखिर दावाना अनिल हम्दुलिल्लाह।